Thank you. Thank you all for coming out today. One of the privileges I have of being state representative is to continue to learn and to educate myself so I can try to educate the community. Last session I served on the Aging and Adult Services Committee, and we had an opportunity to examine the issue of Alzheimer's. We know that in Pennsylvania there are 400,000 of us, our brothers, our sisters, our aunts, our uncles, our mothers, our daughters, our grandparents struggling with Alzheimer's, with dementia, and 280,000 of them with Alzheimer's. But I want to tell you a story about one individual who I had the opportunity to meet. He was like all of us. He was in his early 50s. He had a family, 2 children, a wife. He had a job that he went to all the time, a pilot. He had trained his whole life to be a pilot, and he had flown for many, many years. And like all of us, he struggled to take care of his family. And as a pilot, every year he was tested. And one year, when they were testing him, he wasn't quite as sharp as he usually was. And in fact, the company said, you know what? We're not going to be able to keep you on as a pilot anymore. And they were going to terminate him. The union said, why don't we try to find out what's causing this? He went to be examined by various doctors, and you know what they said? He had early onset of Alzheimer's at about the age of 52. For that man, for that family, for those children, for that wife, their world changed dramatically, as it would for any of us who one day were doing what we normally do, that we take for granted, and the next day we're not able to do it anymore. His words to me stuck in my head, and they taught me the importance of what we do today. They stuck with me because I understood that Alzheimer's knows no boundaries, no socioeconomic boundaries, no racial boundaries, no gender boundaries, no religious boundaries, no nationality boundaries. It can afflict all of us as humans at any time. And so I say to you, thank you for the work you do today, because the work you do today is being done for those who were there before us when we were younger. You know, the cost and the care required for Alzheimer's patients is extremely high. And so many caregivers do it, oftentimes without compensation. They do it out of love. But at the same time, they also have families that need to be cared for. So the work you do today in raising money and in advocacy is important, not only because you're trying to make a dent in Alzheimer's, but what you're doing is you're affecting in the capital what goes on in Harrisburg and in Washington. And don't think for a minute that what you say doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. It matters so much that this year the PA Alzheimer's Association was able to pass unanimously 2 bills in the House of Representatives. 2 bills. One had been in the legislature for 10 years, having to do with caregiver support. And what that bill did is, for the first time, it recognized that caregivers may not live in the home, and they may not be a relative, but they're still taking care of Alzheimer's patients. And they still need the support that all of those who take care of Alzheimer's patients need. And that bill passed because of your work, your advocacy work, your telephone calls, your talking to representatives and senators and the governor. And the second bill had to do with uniform guardianship rules. We know that as adults become incapacitated with Alzheimer's, their need for guardianship remains ever stronger. And we need to be part of a set of rules that basically crosses state boundaries. And your work helped pass that bill. There's one more bill coming up next week. It's the Alzheimer's State Plan, and it has to do with establishing a comprehensive system for dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia in this state. We are the sixth largest state in terms of the numbers of Alzheimer's patients, so we absolutely need to do it. What we need you to do is we need you to call your senators and representatives. We need you to call the governor's office. We need you to tell them, pass that bill. Pass that bill next week. So, in closing today, I just want you to understand, if you can take something away from this walk, pass on the story of the pilot. He wanted us to pass it on. That's why he appeared before the House Aging and Adult Services Committee. He wanted everybody to know that just like his family, just like himself, Alzheimer's can afflict any of us, but we have the capacity to overcome it, just like we've worked so hard to overcome other diseases. The sad truth, in fact, is that while other diseases are declining in the number of diagnoses, the number of Alzheimer's is increasing, a 66% increase. So it means that we have to work harder, we have to work faster, we have to work with more vigilance and more passion, because we can move and change the situation in this state and in this country. And it's through walks like this, but even as important are getting on that phone and calling your representatives, calling your senator, calling them both in Harrisburg and Washington, and telling them that you want to help to end Alzheimer's. You want them to do what they have to do to get it done. Okay? Thank you very much. Keep walking, and we will make a difference. I guarantee you that.